Adobe has continued to improve the Dynamic Link workflow in the Creative Cloud apps, and my favorite feature for this release is live text between After Effects and Premiere. Now, you've been able to embed an AE comp in a Premiere timeline for a while now, but if you've ever needed to edit the contents of the comp, specifically if you needed to fix a typo in the text, for example, your only recourse was to go back into After Effects. The situation has really improved with this new version of Creative Cloud. So I have a text animation here in After Effects. It does a few fancy things that you can't do in Premiere, like fading in a letter at a time and swinging in 3D, like you can see on the word potato there. Well, to use this feature effectively, there are two things you need to know here in After Effects. One, if your text has a mix of sizes, fonts, or colors, you'll want to break those items out into separate text layers. Otherwise, when you edit them in Premiere, you'll be able to change the words, but the formatting will all revert to a single font, weight, or color, which isn't good. So here you'll see that each word is broken out into a separate layer for the sake of this design. Secondly, you'll need to open up your comp settings. That's Command-K on the Mac, Control-K on Windows, and in the Advanced tab, you want to make sure that this switch is turned on, the one that says Template. And there's some other text here that kind of explains what's going on. This is for unlocked text layers, editable in Premiere Pro, and a few other caveats that you should definitely read. Make sure that that is turned on and click OK. And that way the text will come into Premiere the way that we want it to. Once we do that and save the project, we can now take this element into Premiere. My favorite and quickest way to do that is to just drag and drop the comp into Premiere's project window. Now we'll switch over to Premiere. And here we have a few elements for a cooking show on simple foods. And this week's episode is about the potato. We have 3 throw to commercial bumpers that we want to create. And all we have to do is take our new title that we see down here and add it to all 3 clips, like so. Let's just click it and drag it into the timeline. Click and drag, and there we go. Now for this middle clip, the position isn't ideal. I'd rather have it over on the right, but that's no big deal. We can fix that just by double-clicking on the clip, opening up the Effects Control window, and if I open the motion, I can scrub this to the right until I get it just where I want it. Now, this imported comp is considered a master clip in Premiere, so any changes we make to the source will ripple through the 3 clips in the timeline. For example, the design has this potato color on the word potato, and that's not really working in the context of this particular video background. So let's jump back over to After Effects, and if I select our potato layer, I can very quickly change its color. Save, tab over to Premiere, and now you'll see it instantly updates here and in all the other instances on the timeline, which looks better. But what if the name of the episode changes? We've heard from our producer that the next episode will be about the onion, and they want to use the word noble for the onion. So can we change the word noble here to humble instead? No problem, unless it's not convenient for you to go back to After Effects, or if you have other text variations you need as well. Well, we can now change the text right here inside Premiere. Select the clip in the project window, not in the timeline, select it here in the project window, and double-click to open it in the source window. Open up the effects controls for the layer and see that we've got something new in here. For each text layer in our imported comp, we can directly edit the content of the text. So if I change the word noble to the word humble and hit return, you can see that the change is reflected in all of the clips in the timeline without having to return to After Effects. This is awesome for fixing things like typos in a name, or even using a single template for a wide variety of names. Using the same source clip to generate different results in the timeline is a slightly different process, though. Let's assume that in the case of this timeline, we also want to create a similar bumper for next week's episode, The Noble Onion. Let's bring in our onion clip here, add it in after our others, on the right track there. Here we go. And we can't just drag in our same title and change the source text again, or it would affect all of the clips tied to the master clip. Instead, we need to first duplicate the clip in the project window. That makes a second master clip, still sourced from the same After Effects file, which we can add to our timeline over the new onion clip. And we can now change the text for this clip to the noble onion, like so. The results came out just the way we want them to, sourced from the same original After Effects file. But now here's one more awesome thing. Even though we now have 4 clips in the timeline that all have new text, instead of the original text we created back in After Effects, which still says the noble potato, by the way, instead of the humble potato or the noble onion, if our producer now wants us to make a style change, like changing the font on the word potato to something else, like, let's go choose another one of our typekit fonts, like Kepler, and we'll choose a light condensed, and hit save, and go back to Premiere. Note that the text changes we made in Premiere have been preserved, humble potato, the noble onion, even while the new font has been successfully applied to all of our title footage. Live text is a very well thought out, subtle improvement to Dynamic Link between After Effects and Premiere.